The winds of the distant planet Hawara II whipped across the rocky plains, carrying dust and fragments of hardened rock that stung any exposed skin. The sun, a dim orange sphere in the sky, struggled to break through the constant haze, giving the landscape a dull, muted glow. Alex tightened his jacket and adjusted the strap of his tool pack. He had been sent here to repair a communications array that had gone silent for nearly 3 days. For a human, this planet was harsh, lonely, and full of unknown dangers. Yet Alex had always felt a strange thrill in working at the edge of human exploration. As he trudged across the uneven terrain, his eyes scanned the horizon. The array station was not far, but the path was treacherous. Sharp rocks jutted out like jagged teeth, and the ground itself seemed to shift underfoot. He slowed as he noticed deep claw marks carved into the dirt, evidence of some predator that roamed these lands. Alex's heart beat faster, but he reminded himself of the training he had received. Humans were resourceful, and resourcefulness often meant survival. He reached the station, its metal walls battered and scorched, a silent testament to the planet's harsh conditions. The main panel flickered weakly, barely sending a signal back to the colony. As he stepped closer, a sudden movement caught his eye. A figure crouched on the edge of a nearby ridge. Alex froze, squinting. At first he thought it was a trick of the wind or a shadow cast by the jagged rocks. But the figure moved with a fluid grace that no human could match. It was tall, humanoid, but clearly alien. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dim light, and her eyes were large, dark, and intelligent, scanning him as if deciding whether he was a threat. Alex's breath caught. He had heard rumors of alien survivors in these sectors, species nearly wiped out in the galactic conflicts, but he had never imagined meeting one face to face. The alien stepped down from the ridge, her movements deliberate and cautious. She carried no weapons, yet her presence was powerful, almost magnetic. Alex instinctively put a hand on his tool belt, though he knew it was useless against someone like her. "I'm not here to hurt you," he called out, trying to sound calm. His voice sounded small and fragile against the vast emptiness around them. The alien tilted her head, observing him. She made no sound, yet her eyes held a question that seemed to pierce through him. Alex slowly raised his hands, showing he carried only tools. She stepped closer, her steps silent, almost gliding over the rocky ground. "My name is Alex. I'm here to fix the communications array," he added, hoping words could bridge the gap between species. Her gaze softened just slightly. She didn't speak, but then she did something unexpected. She extended a hand, small yet strong, gesturing for him to follow. Alex hesitated. Trust was not given lightly here, but something in her posture suggested urgency, danger that he might not yet understand. He grabbed his pack and cautiously followed her. They moved through narrow canyons and rocky outcroppings, avoiding larger open spaces where predators could strike. The alien, Lyra, as he later learned, led him to a hidden shelter carved into the cliffs. Inside, the walls glowed faintly with a soft, bioluminescent light that illuminated the curves of the cavern. The air was cooler here, free from the harsh winds outside, but the sense of isolation was almost suffocating. "You live here?" Alex asked, amazed. Lyra inclined her head. She did not speak in words he could understand, but she gestured toward a small device that projected holographic images. He watched, fascinated as the images told stories of a civilization that had once thrived here. Cities floated above oceans of liquid crystal. Ships sailed through skies filled with colors he had never seen, and beings like her lived in harmony with advanced technology. The war had taken all of it, leaving only survivors like her. Alex felt a pang of sadness. He realized the weight of her survival. Lyra was not just alien. She was the last hope of her people. The thought made his chest tighten. He wanted to help her, not just because of duty, but because of something deeper, a sense that humanity and survival were somehow connected across the stars. As they talked, through gestures, shared images, and a few crude translations, Alex discovered that Lyra's species had been hunted relentlessly. Their technology was unmatched, but their numbers were too few. Now she was alone, constantly moving, hiding, and surviving. Her eyes, when they met his, held a quiet plea. He did not fully understand it yet, but he felt it in his bones. Suddenly, a low roar echoed through the cavern entrance. Alex froze, his hands moving instinctively toward the tools on his belt. Lyra's body tensed. The predator, massive, horned, and with jagged claws, burst from the shadows. Alex and Lyra both jumped back, dodging its sudden strike. He grabbed a nearby rock, throwing it with all his strength. The creature paused for a moment, confused by the unexpected attack, giving Lyra just enough time to react. With astonishing speed, she leapt forward, striking the creature with a precise strike of her arm, emitting a shockwave that knocked it off balance. Alex watched, amazed and terrified. She was strong, fast, and lethal, yet she spared the creature enough to drive it away rather than kill it outright. The predator retreated into the shadows, leaving them trembling but unharmed. Alex's heart raced. You're incredible," he said, still catching his breath. Lyra glanced at him, then at the cave walls, and finally at him again. She stepped closer and, in a moment of unexpected vulnerability, pulled him toward her. Alex stumbled back slightly, surprised, but she held him firmly. Her face was close to his, her eyes searching his. Then, in a whisper that echoed with emotion, she said a single word. "Mine." The word did not carry ownership in a human sense. It was a declaration, a connection, a statement of trust and reliance. Alex understood it immediately. She had faced death alone for so long. To call him hers was not to claim him romantically, but to claim him as an ally, a protector, and a friend she could rely upon. The storm outside intensified, rain lashing against the entrance of the cave, thunder shaking the walls. Alex and Lyra stayed close, finding warmth in their proximity as they listened to the planet rage around them. For the first time since he had arrived on Hawara 2, Alex felt a sense of calm, knowing he had found someone extraordinary in this alien world. Hours passed, and the storm finally subsided. The soft glow of bioluminescent walls illuminated the space around them, and Alex could see every detail of Lyra's features, sharp, delicate, and alien, yet somehow familiar in their expression of vulnerability. She released him slowly but did not step away. Instead, she rested her head against his shoulder, a gesture of quiet trust. Alex realized then that the line between human and alien had blurred. They were no longer two strangers thrown together by chance. They were allies bound by circumstance and mutual respect. He knew this was only the beginning. The communications array still needed repair, the colony would need updates, and the planet held dangers far beyond what he had yet seen. But in that moment, none of that mattered. He had found someone who had survived against impossible odds, and she had chosen in her own way to trust him. As he drifted into a restless sleep, Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mixture of fear, excitement, and the undeniable realization that this encounter would change everything. He did not know what lay ahead, but he knew that he would not leave Lyra behind. Together they would face the challenges of Hawara 2, and perhaps in the process forge a bond that neither species could have predicted. Outside, the winds quieted, leaving only the soft hum of the planet. Inside the cave, Alex and Lyra remained close, two beings from different worlds sharing a fragile moment of connection in the vastness of space. The universe had a way of testing humanity, but it also had a way of rewarding courage, trust, and understanding. Tonight, Alex had discovered that reward, and he knew that the story of survival, trust, and unexpected friendship was only just beginning. The morning sun rose faintly over the jagged cliffs of Hawara 2, casting long shadows across the rocky plains. Alex woke to the faint hum of the cave, the bioluminescent walls dim in the daylight but still glowing softly around him. Lyra was already awake, perched near the cave entrance, scanning the horizon with her sharp, intelligent eyes. When she saw him stir, she gave a slight nod, a silent greeting that Alex returned with a tired smile. The storm had passed, but the land was no less dangerous. The tracks of large predators still crisscrossed the rocky ground, and the communications array he was sent to repair awaited him. Alex packed his tools carefully, checking each device while Lyra moved around him, observing and occasionally gesturing with her hands. Their language was limited, but the bond of trust they had formed in the storm allowed them to understand each other without many words. As they set out, Lyra led Alex along a safer route she knew well. The terrain was uneven, filled with crevices and sudden drops, and Alex was grateful for her guidance. Along the way, he asked questions about her people, about the war that had wiped out so many, and about how she had survived alone. Lyra responded with gestures and images projected from a small device she carried. The story she told was tragic, Her species had been technologically advanced but outnumbered and betrayed, hunted almost to extinction. Despite the sorrow in her story, Alex felt a growing admiration for her. She had endured so much, yet her spirit remained unbroken. He realized that her survival was not just about skill or technology, it was about courage and determination. Traits that humans also valued deeply. They reached a narrow canyon where a river of molten rock had once flowed, now cooled and hardened into sharp glass-like formations. Alex stepped carefully, testing each foothold before putting his weight down. Lyra moved ahead with effortless grace, guiding him when a path seemed too dangerous. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the canyon walls. Alex froze. The sound was deep, resonant, and unlike anything he had heard on Earth. Lyra tensed beside him, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the shadows. From the darkness, a massive creature emerged, larger than the one from the previous day, with scales glinting in the sunlight and claws capable of crushing stone. It moved with predatory precision, its eyes fixed on them. Alex grabbed a heavy tool from his pack, intending to defend himself, but Lyra held up a hand. With a swift motion, she activated a device that emitted a low-frequency pulse. The creature paused, confused by the vibration. Lyra whispered something in her own language, and Alex could see her muscles tense, ready for action. Then, with a burst of speed, she leapt forward, striking the creature with precise blows that caused it to retreat. Wounded but alive, Alex was in awe. Her strength, speed, and intelligence were unlike anything he had imagined. They pressed on, hearts racing, until they finally reached the communications array. It stood on a plateau, battered and partially collapsed from the recent storm. Alex set to work immediately, assessing the damage. Lyra watched, occasionally handing him tools or pointing to sections that might need extra attention. Despite the danger and the alien environment, Alex felt a strange calm. Here, with Lyra beside him, he could focus, could solve problems, could survive. Hours passed as he worked, reconnecting wires, calibrating sensors, and repairing structural damage. Lyra's presence was steadying, a reminder that he was not alone. By midday, the array hummed back to life, sending signals across the colony. Alex wiped the sweat from his brow and looked at Lyra, who nodded approvingly. The task was done, but the sense of accomplishment was not merely about fixing equipment, it was about teamwork, survival, and mutual trust. As they rested, Alex noticed the way Lyra studied him. Her gaze was not questioning now, but thoughtful, almost introspective. She had lived so long in solitude that human companionship, even in the simplest form, was new to her. He understood then that her word yesterday, mine, was more than a declaration of reliance. It was a bond forming, a recognition that they needed each other to survive and thrive on this hostile world. The next challenge came unexpectedly. As they descended the plateau, a section of the path collapsed under Alex's weight. He tumbled forward, catching himself just in time, but the rocks beneath them began to shift dangerously. Lyra reacted instantly, gripping his arm and pulling him to safety. Together they navigated the unstable path, moving with care, until they reached more stable ground. Alex's pulse was still racing, but he felt an unspoken connection with Lyra. Their survival depended on cooperation, and each moment of danger strengthened the trust between them. That night, they set up a small camp under the shelter of a rock overhang. Alex lit a small controlled flame, its warmth a comfort against the planet's cold night air. Lyra sat across from him, her posture relaxed but alert. She reached out, touching a piece of his equipment, then gestured for him to show her how it worked. He explained in simple terms, demonstrating the tool's function, and she nodded, absorbing every detail. It was a shared moment of learning, a merging of human ingenuity and alien intelligence. As the fire flickered, the silence between them was comfortable. Alex glanced at Lyra and noticed the subtle tension in her stance, the way she occasionally looked toward him, with what he could only describe as curiosity mixed with appreciation. He smiled faintly, realizing that trust could grow into something stronger, something that neither species could have expected in such a harsh environment. Suddenly, a distant rumble shook the ground. Alex looked up, alarmed, and saw a plume of smoke rising in the distance. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She gestured urgently, indicating that they needed to move. Whatever caused the smoke could be dangerous, possibly a remnant of the war that had destroyed her people. They packed quickly, moving under the cover of darkness toward a safer area she knew. The journey was tense. Shadows danced across the rocks and strange noises echoed from hidden crevices. Alex kept close to Lyra, following her lead as they climbed, jumped, and navigated the treacherous terrain. They encountered more creatures, smaller, faster predators that tested their reflexes. Each encounter reinforced their reliance on one another. Alex's human ingenuity, combined with Lyra's alien instincts, allowed them to survive where either alone might have fallen. By dawn, they reached a hidden valley, lush and strangely alive despite the harshness surrounding it. Lyra paused, allowing Alex to take in the beauty of the place. Water flowed from crystal-clear streams and plants glowed faintly with natural light. It was a sanctuary, a rare pocket of life on a planet that otherwise seemed hostile and unyielding. Alex set down his pack, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting relief and something deeper. Gratitude, trust, perhaps even admiration. Without warning, she stepped closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. The gesture was gentle but firm, reaffirming the bond they had formed. Alex met her gaze, understanding the unspoken message. "You saved me," he said simply, and she inclined her head. He realized that words were not always necessary. Their actions had spoken louder than any sentence could. In a quiet, unbroken moment, Lyra reached out again, this time pulling him slightly closer. It was not romantic in the human sense, but it was a gesture of connection, trust, and reliance, an affirmation that they were partners in survival, and that neither would face the dangers of this world alone. The valley provided safety for the rest of the day. Alex and Lyra explored its hidden corners, finding food and water and reinforcing the sense of hope that survival brought. They built a small shelter from the natural materials around them, a temporary home that would serve them until they could decide on their next move. As night fell, Alex sat quietly, reflecting on the events of the past 2 days. He had come to Hawara 2 expecting routine work, but instead he had discovered an extraordinary being, a survivor of unimaginable loss, and had formed a bond that transcended species. Lyra sat nearby, her presence a comforting reminder that he was not alone. In the quiet darkness, the wind carrying whispers across the valley, Alex understood something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or numbers, it was in courage, adaptability, and the ability to form bonds, even with beings completely unlike themselves. And in Lyra, he had found someone who embodied the same qualities, someone who could teach him, challenge him, and rely on him in ways he had never imagined. He glanced at her one last time before resting his head, feeling a sense of calm he had not known since leaving Earth. Lyra remained alert, her gaze sweeping the valley, but she did not move away. Their bond, tested in the storms and dangers of Hawara 2, had been solidified. Trust had been built through action, reliance, and shared survival, and it had become something neither of them could ignore. Outside, the stars of Hawara 2 twinkled faintly in the alien night sky, distant but steady, a reminder of the vast universe they both inhabited. Inside the valley, Alex and Lyra rested together, two beings from different worlds united by circumstance, courage, and an unspoken understanding. Their journey was far from over, but they had found strength in each other, a human and an alien facing the universe together. The night was quiet, but the promise of adventure and survival loomed ahead. Alex knew that the challenges of Hawara 2 would continue, that danger was never